this is Kate Garrison. I'm a business coach. The name of my business is Unlocked, and I'm focusing on personalities at work using the Enneagram as a tool. My next interview is Melissa. She's a navigating 6. For 15 years, Melissa thought she was a type 9, but I thought, well, let's assess you in person to find out for sure. I actually thought she was a type 2 because she was so focused on people. But this would end up being her navigating instinctual bias, which is very focused on people. You're going to hear her say community a lot. Melissa's main strategy is to feel secure, but she also has 2 other strategies. The first one is the connecting point to 3, the need to feel outstanding. So notice when she's stressed, she has that bruised ego and wants to present her credibility. And then when she goes to the strategy 9, it's a more relaxed position. She talks about going on vacations, but it's usually to learn something. So she's got a resource for herself and for others. So without any more hesitation, here is Melissa. So Melissa, I'm so glad that you could meet me today, and it was so fun learning about you're from East Texas, and we basically grew up next door because I'm in Marshall, and then also we had some other things in common, like we love the Enneagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and know how it can really inform us of what our strengths are. You know, why we can get in situations that make us stressful, because I know for me, if I'm in a setting where I can't feel excited, you know, if things are a little too dampened, it's like, I don't feel like I have a place, or it makes me nervous, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a cheerleader. That's what I wanted to be. I never tried out. So, yeah. Did you have any ambitions in Tyler?
Not really. Not to be a cheerleader anyway. I just kind of like to take it easy and hang out with my group of friends.
Yeah.
My group of friends that I've had since, some of them elementary school, some of them middle school, but definitely grateful for them. We're closely in touch, more so than I think most people who are adults.
Definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And so you get back to Tyler ever so often. Oh, wow. I'm so impressed. I haven't been there in 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I wanted to show my husband. But so it makes sense. You enjoyed your friends. 6s, I notice, are very reliable in their relationships. And tell us what you're doing now, because that's very relationship focused.
Sure. You mean like personally or professionally?
Yeah, professionally. Yeah.
So professionally, I'm working on the career counseling team at Austin Community College and really enjoy it. I love working with the traditional students as well as the non-traditional students. So anyone who's in the process of making a career change. We have a lot of free resources, which I love, the ability to serve the community in that way, help people understand themselves better through career assessments, and then sometimes doing a little bit of resume work or job search strategy, just like if someone is making a career change and let's say their previous line of work isn't marketable or valuable anymore, helping them navigate the job market and help them figure out what's next and how to get there.
Oh, wow. That's that's very, in line with what I'm trying to do. Show people what they're good at and how to best, leverage that and getting past their limitations, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Well, that's the second way I heard about you is my husband's going through transition, and I couldn't believe it that your college, ACC, provides free counseling, right? They're for people in Texas.
Yeah, it's career counseling. So it is limited to people who are currently living in Texas because we're all licensed in Texas. We do have to keep it confidential, so I can't confirm or deny whether I know your husband in that capacity.
Yeah.
But Yes, we are
It's
able
okay
to
if
serve
I
the
have
community in that capacity. Mhm.
Yay. And what's the most fulfilling process in your job? Is it giving the resources, seeing them go from a place they didn't thrive to one of being, respected? What can you tell me, like a win, like last week, oh gosh, this happened and it made me so happy.
Gosh, yeah, I mean,
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking of one particular person, and without giving too much detail away,
Yeah, yeah.
we've
Oh,
seen.
yeah, with the
Yeah,
confidentiality.
exactly. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of traditional students who are working towards associate's degrees
Mm-hmm.
or figuring out what they want to do as far as what they can do with their major or even what to major in the first place. And
Mm-hmm.
then there are people that come to us from the community who might already have advanced degrees.
Uh,
So there was one particular person who had a
mm-hmm.
master's degree but wasn't getting any sort of bites on the applications and was actually getting really depressed.
Yeah.
And so helping him understand that being rejected doesn't mean that that there is something wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's basically helping him understand what he has to offer, because sometimes, and I suspect he might be a 6, sometimes people who get into certain scenarios get their sense of self-worth from what they provide to a group or a community or just something where they're productive. And if they suddenly lose, that's one thing that happens a lot in my line of work, is that people lose their jobs and suddenly they feel like they have no value.
Yeah, right.
And so just helping people understand that they do have something to offer, even if by submitting a resume and not getting a response, it doesn't mean that it's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Oh, that's
they don't
so
know
nice.
you. They just see this information on a paper. So helping them figure out how to make themselves more marketable, but more important, I think, is helping them see their value beyond what's happening in the job market.
Oh, I like that. Just how you're trying to empower him, so he has a kind of a strong, have more inner strength. Yeah, exactly. That's nice, because sometimes the evidence, I guess you're not contributing as much as you're used to, but does not say anything about your self-worth.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the confidence that just completely disappeared. And I am happy to say that he has found work since then.
So that was,
yes. And it's not necessarily, I guess, TBD as far as how good a fit it will be, but it was just so that needed to take an offer. And I think it sounds like it has potential.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. And I think he now has the confidence to know that if he's not happy with this situation, he can still find something else out there that is a better fit.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And good for you that you knew it was the confidence that was going to propel him forward. Yeah. What were some other cultures you were in where maybe you didn't feel like you had as much a voice or, clear about what your work is?
Yeah. Well, I have had cultures like that, and they were not a good fit. There have been cultures, I've sort of gone back and forth where, really great fit, where I'm encouraged to share ideas and use my voice to suggest improvements or do what I can to help students or clients in whatever way possible. And then there are other environments that I've been in where it has just been kind of a don't speak unless spoken to kind of situation, or that's not the way it works here. You need to keep your opinions to yourself. There's a certain chain of command where you can't necessarily contribute unless asked. And I've just found that whether I am a loyal and helpful coworker and employee rests a lot on finding the right culture fit. And so if there is an environment where someone basically just says, it doesn't matter what you think, you're here because we hired you to do a job and this is what you're going to do, I feel stifled and I feel like I'm not trying to be a pain, but I get passive aggressive and I'll start kind of acting in a way that is not, it's counter to the culture. So I can be I can push back too much, and I'm not trying to be not a team player. And yet I can be the best team player in the world if it's the right team, if it's the right environment.
And the right boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me about an authority figure where, wow, I just didn't feel safe with this person.
I think the big things are micromanagement, which I think is pretty universal. I don't know anyone who says, I really love being micromanaged, you know. That's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah. Okay, so the micromanager is not going to be a good boss.
Yeah. I mean, anyone.
What gives you security, basically?
So security, I mean, the qualities that I've found in a good fit environment and a good fit boss are things like flexibility, feeling valued and appreciated, someone who wants to allow people to work in areas that will be a good fit for their strengths. So rather than just saying, well, this is your job and this is what you need to do and how you need to do it, it's like, why don't you just hire a robot then? Or why don't you hire somebody else that is more aligned with that? So flexibility, adaptability, encouragement, support, benefit of the doubt, because, you know, we all have our moments, but I think there are certain leaders out there that assume you're just being difficult because you're not getting your way. And then there are other leaders that think, oh, wow, something must be going on, you know, mentally, emotionally. Maybe this person's having a rough week. What do you need? How can I help? And those are skills that can be learned. So even people who might start out having more of that command and control style where you're managing, you know, you're telling people this is what you need to get done, can become, you know, we do need to get this done, but how can we support you to do your best work? I mean, I like to grow and develop. Also, if I'm not already good at something, I'm open to learn, but it's like, I want a certain amount of structure and guidance up front without being micromanaged. So like, tell me what you would like from me. Tell me where I can find the resources to get it done. I like that better than just like, here's a problem, go fix it. Or something with vague instructions. And then, well, why didn't you look at such and such? And it's like, I didn't know that resource was in there. Nobody told me where to find it. So I try to be resourceful to the extent that I can, but if there's some kind of internal resource and I can't find it, then.
So we heard about kind of where you're comfortable now, and you've really kind of found your voice. And you know, here at Unlocked, we definitely are aiming to do that, to empower women, have their, you know, talents recognized. But tell me about a situation where you were brand new, you know, kind of trying to get the lay of the land, and
so I've had a lot of ups and downs in my career, and this was probably over 10 years ago, this example. So I went from working at Workforce Solutions, which was a really great job. I felt like I was underpaid at the time, and so I was looking for other opportunities that paid more. And I did find something, and it didn't end up being what I thought it was. And so I don't really want to say where, but essentially the work environment was going from, you know, having a place where I could walk around and talk to people. Even though I'm an introvert, it's kind of like ambivert, where I still...
Oh, I like that. I've never heard that word. Ambivert.
Oh, yeah. It's you know, mostly introvert, but I have an extroverted side. So I can't be too isolated, or I get stir crazy, but I also can't be like on all day, or else I definitely need some recharge time. So it was a good environment that I came from, where like I could give presentations and be enthusiastic that way and do some one-on-one coaching, to this environment where I was in a windowless room with a few other people, only doing remote work. And this was before COVID. So it was before I had gotten used to remote work. So there really wasn't Zoom or anything where you could connect with people that way, but it was just sending emails. And they had hired me and one other person because of our licenses. And I think it was so that they could say we have licensed counselors on staff. But what we were doing was not counseling, not by any stretch. It was mostly like printing out completion certificates. It was very administrative. And, you know, I don't mind doing a limited amount of administrative work. It's fine. I'm pretty detail oriented. I do well at it once I know what's going on. But it's really hard to be in a situation where they say, like, this is what we need you to do. We're not going to tell you how to do it. You're smart, figure it out. And then finding out later, oh, we needed it done this specific way and you didn't do it right. Which I think would probably make
everybody, even if that
annoyed.
Even if you did like administrative tasks. That would be annoying. So the training wasn't so great, and your remote sounds very impersonal.
It was, and it just had this really corporate feel to it. So it was very quiet, and there were just a lot of people kind of quietly working on their tasks. There were some people from accounting in there. Not that I mind, you know, I'll work with anyone and it'll be fine. And eventually we all kind of warmed up to each other, and I, you know, even connected with them on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I think we're still in touch. But it was the kind of thing where I went from feeling like I was in this family type environment where
the workforce solutions.
Because that was a really enjoyable job. And then people, of course, would ask, well, why didn't you stay there if you loved it so much? But then there was the factor where it's like, well, you know, I have my master's degree. I have good experience, good reviews. I'm not earning as much as I should be earning. Austin's an expensive place to live.
And
so
that's so true.
Made that pivot. And then, but every time I've changed jobs for money, that seems to be what has happened. So it's a really interesting thing as far as like priorities. And,
and now you've learned, okay, this is where, you know, and you do give presentations now, right? Okay.
Mostly via Zoom now, but I'm totally comfortable with it now.
You get to meet, you're just meeting new people all the time.
But I love to present. I love to interact face to face, one-on-one. I have a harder time when it's like walking into a room of strangers. So that's how I know I'm not an extrovert. I can't just like work the room very comfortably. I can do it for a little while if I'm in the right mindset.
So your presentations are students that you already know?
Not necessarily, but it's one thing. It's like, and I think a lot of introverts have actually said this, that they don't mind giving presentations as long as they're comfortable with the material, as long as they know what they're talking about, and it's not a real like off the cuff. And if they know that the people that they're presenting to are going to be appreciative of the material. So it's not just a bunch of people sitting there, you know.
That you're going to have to win over. They're already interested in the subject. They already know what they're about to learn. Invested. It really helps when you've got engagement. And not have to work so hard to get it.
Although there was a part of me that one of my roles at Workforce Solutions was to give the new client orientation, where people coming in to receive unemployment benefits were required to get a certain number of job search contacts per week in order to maintain their eligibility. And, you know, people walk in and they're not happy to have been laid off. And they're like, what is this? Why do I have to be here? And so presenting to a room of people who didn't want to be there necessarily, but saying basically, you know, we're not here to be sticklers. We're not here to like hold you to this, you know, the standard, like crack the whip, that kind of thing.
You don't have to earn your keep here.
But like, hey, did you know that we have all these job search workshops available for free to the community? And that's what I like about my current role. It's like we have all of these resources that we can share for the community. And it's like, well, your tax dollars have paid for these services. So it's not, you know, we're not just like pulling money off of trees. Might as well take advantage. And so a lot of the time what would happen is they would come in for this orientation. They didn't want to be there. And by the end, they were like, wow, I'm going to sign up for a resume workshop. I'm going to sign up for this opportunity to take a What Job is Right for You class, because no one ever told me.
All they knew is that yeah, I have problems getting a job.
Mhm.
And then you get to be this problem solver.
Yeah.
And they have hope at the end.
Yes.
It sounds like, and maybe at first, yeah, you were kind of concerned, right? That it's going to be kind of a dampened mood here, but you showed yourself that that you can handle those situations.
And yes, and you just helped an aha moment go off in me that, like, yeah, helping people find hope again, where they're feeling down and lost, and like someone just kicked them while they're down, you know, lost their job through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
If I can be someone to let them know that, hey, this too shall pass. Here are all of these resources that you might as well take advantage of. They are at no cost to you, and you don't have to go it alone. You have this system of support. That is really, really gratifying. And I love being able to support people in that way.
Oh, yeah. It definitely would have been a waste of your talent to have stayed in the higher paying job in the little, I'm just picturing this sterile room. And did you ever watch the Apple TV show Severance?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That's what it made me think of, 'cause
windowless
there's
office.
three people right there, and it's quiet all the time. And there's kind of this air of skepticism and boredom. It's just like, ooh, I can't wait to, you know.
Yeah.
You get this just claustrophobic feeling. Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Now, I did not watch the rest of the series. Probably as a 7, I hate the whole idea of being trapped. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So I didn't want, but I know it was a really well-received show and really kind of innovative in a way, this whole work-life balance. It's wonderful, but I wonder, as this show highlighted, what is your work-life balance like? Because you're such a great problem solver. You don't, I mean, I'm putting this in your mouth. You probably don't like to say no to too many people because, hey, if I can give them some hope, if I can give them a resource, I'm going to fit them in my schedule. And I might not get out of work till 8, but, you know, I'll do it. So how do you make that decision to have work-life balance?
Well, it reminds me of when I went to a conference at one point. I had heard the phrase, it's not about work-life balance, because that truly doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
But it's several things. It's a balancing act, so it's sort of always in flux. And then it's work-life blend. So you don't necessarily always have, you know, equal parts work and life. And on this balance beam, it tips one way or the other. But for me, setting boundaries has been really critical. And I don't always do the best with boundaries. It's not always in my nature to say no, especially if I hear from someone that I worked with a long time ago and they say, hey, I need help with a resume. And I think, oh my gosh, my schedule's so booked. There have been a few times where I've had to say, I'm so sorry, if there's some urgency, I just can't fit you in this week. Here are some referrals. And then there's a question about, like, well, what, you know, what's okay to do? Like, if you're just helping with someone with a resume, then that's not necessarily counseling, but I like having that variety. So part of the time, what I'm doing right now is, I don't want to say never, but right now I don't have a full-time job. I have a 30-hour-a-week job with ACC, which suits me pretty well because it's close to a full-time job. It's enough to have benefits and stability, which are really important, and feel like I really fit in there more so than like a contactor kind of. Yes, exactly. Okay. So I do feel like it's a good fit socially, and then the type of work, but it's really nice having the variety too. So if I can be like doing career counseling one-on-one with people, doing some presentations, doing some resume review, job search strategy things. And then what I do in the evenings, and this is where it does get hard, is I also work for a small psychotherapy practice where I do some career and mental health counseling. And that is more intense typically. And so that I could never, you know, by any stretch of the imagination, you know, confirm or deny working with anyone specific. But
are you trying to cap that at 10?
For the most
10
part.
hours in the private practice?
Yeah, I would say in any given week, it's probably somewhere between 6 and 10 clients that I see. Usually closer to the upper end, like 8 to 10. But then, sometimes I'll travel for a week and then I'll come back and it'll have to be more like 11 or 12 to catch up. Or sometimes I'll be away for half a week. And then, anyway, lots of details.
That's really neat. Yeah, you seem to be really aware of people's needs, and
yeah, you thought I was a 2 when you first met me.
Yeah.
I remember, and then we had our conversation.
Yeah,
you said, no, I don't think you're a 2. I think you're a 6.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, yeah. I mean, I definitely care about people and I want to help them, but at the same time, I don't always put them first.
Yeah.
It's like I do a lot of the time, probably to my detriment, but then also there is this need for security. And so I have been known to stay in unhealthy work situations for too long, even though I knew that this isn't necessarily the healthiest thing. I'm afraid to walk away if I don't have something lined up. And that's why now, honestly, I think it helps to have 2 different jobs, have that semi-balance. But yeah, it's that way if something happens and for whatever reason a work environment shifts from being a great fit to being toxic, then there's always something else to fall back on.
Right, because a boss could change, your role could change, right?
Funny you should mention that. Yeah, because I found out about an upcoming reorg and I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love what I'm doing and I absolutely adore my current boss. And the thought in my mind is like, oh my gosh, what if I no longer report to her?
Yeah.
Who would be the next person? Just knowing how much the right boss can enable me to add a lot of value to a team or just squash me like a bug. Not to, I don't mean to not take ownership, because I know that even if you have a not the best boss, you can do things to still do okay.
I know you take vacations and you go to conferences. How was the San Diego Career Counseling Conference?
It was amazing. I just went to the NCDA. I don't even know which camera to look at. I went to the NCDA. That one. Okay. NCDA, National Career Development Association Conference in San Diego. I love going to that particular conference. I hadn't been since like 2018. So it was definitely pre-COVID, but just the bright minds and all of the information that you can absorb. And this time was particularly cool because they had us do an app where a lot of the presenters, so, if you've ever been to a conference where there are like 3 different sessions that are all held at the same time and you're just like, ooh, I really hope I picked the right one.
Yes.
And then you go and you're like, wow, that was really good. I still wonder what would the other ones have been like? Well, in the conference, they enable you to upload your materials into the app. And so what I've been doing is going to those materials, even if I didn't attend that particular session, sending the presentation to myself in my work email. And then what I'm going to do is save all the information, upload it to a folder. And at some point, I will actually get to review. It'll take a really long time.
Yeah. But just a little piecemeal and knowing it's at your access. Yeah. It just sounds like you're always trying to freshen what you know because of who you serve. And I would love to end our session with stating your mission, your purpose statement.
Oh, gosh. I mean, I don't have it fully fleshed out, but I would say helping people reach their potential, helping people have hope again, being in an environment where I can thrive and help others thrive. Because I think those go hand in hand. Like it's hard to give your best if you're not at your best. So yeah, I often think about it as career life integration. And that was this, if I ever were to open a business or start my own company, that was the name I had in mind, was career life integration.
Nice.
Because it's not work-life balance, it's a balancing act, but just how to integrate your values, your purpose,
because you're going to always feel like you're coming up short if it has to be balanced.
Right.
It's just a kind of unrealistic.
Right, exactly.
So this was a great talk about, enjoying your work. And
it's always great to talk with you.
You too. And I'm glad we can have a beer and talk some more. And Benny is jealous, so we'll have to take him. So thank you for all this information.
Yes, thank you.
I was not surprised at all. You're such an engaging, interesting person, and you know, people are lucky to work with you.
Well, takes one to know one. They're lucky to work with you too.
Thank you.
Yay.
As Melissa and I continue to have conversations together, I try to remind her of the place where she can grow, and that is evidence. Type 6s can sometimes be fearful of new situations, but you could tell in the interview when she was in the new situation of a presentation of strangers. It was kind of scary at first, but she lit up going, wait a minute, I was able to give them resources and lighten their spirits by telling them this is all free, and people would sign up for classes at the end of her presentation. So that's obviously a place to grow. But overall, being a navigating 6 makes her perfect as a career coach because she's helping people secure jobs with great resources.